36,000 transfers, 0 incidents. These aren't aspirational targets. They're actual basket transfer statistics from American waters. Meanwhile, pilot ladders show a starkly different story. My question for Carolina in the first instance, but others to chip in, is if two P&I members present conflicting scenarios, one having done the risk assessment but facing commercial pressure, the other confident and trained, how does the P&I Club differentiate between robust due diligence and procedural risk-taking when deciding on coverage following a personnel transfer by basket incident where the crane was not approved for personnel transfer?
I think that's one of the requirements, but that has been removed. So now the cranes do not have to be certified. There are some checks inbuilt. So what you can do if the crane is not certified, what checks to carry out to determine whether the crane can be used for personal transfer. But I think it comes down to every individual ship owner, how confident they feel with the operation.
Well, and it goes a little bit further, sorry to add on that it was never prescribed that it had to be. It was only a recommendation. It was never actually said that your crane had to be certified. OCIMF never said that. There was a misinterpretation, if you agree with me on that, Darren. We've talked about this a lot. But ITAL did a lot of work around this because it's very dear to ours. And even last year there was a death coming off of a pilot ladder. So we actually did a study over several years, 2018 to 2024, and looked at all the lighterings in America and the number of basket transfers and put this together. We put a paper out on this actually. So 8,600 lightering operations were conducted, and I'm reading straight from the paper now. Nearly 36,000 personal transfers were conducted by basket during that time frame. And would anybody like to take a guess at how many incidents we had? 0. 0 incidents. 0. So that's 8,600 lightering operations, 36,000 personnel transfers by basket, 0 incidents. Fewer of those than 0.05% had any type of near miss at all. And I get asked every time, that's impossible, how can you have 0? And the real biggest thing, which is now added into the new personal transfer, which we really, really like, is the prescription to do a dummy run or a dry run. And we've been practicing that in the Gulf for over a decade now, always prescribing a dry run for the basket. In that dry run, that's where you find everything you can check in terms of the training of the crew. Are they familiar with how the crane operates? Are they familiar with picking up the basket? Are they familiar with handling the tag lines and everything? And we can determine from that point, part of that risk evaluation at that moment there, is this continued to go with everything? But that's what I like about that personnel transfer section in terms of now that it talks about doing it from a risk-based approach, but leaving it to the masters of the vessels and to the STS operators out there on station to look that over and review that, and to evaluate also what's the type of vessel that this transfer is being done from. Because too many times we've heard, oh, well, pilots do it all the time. Pilots have had a lot of deaths over the years as well, and the thing is the pilots have a maneuverable vessel. They have a fast maneuverable vessel. Our vessels are meant for carrying equipment. So in contrast to that, I'll go over the pilot ladder incidents. 1,300 transfers conducted via pilot ladder in that time. 3% of those with some sort of near miss or incident rate. 30% of that was categorized as a high potential where somebody almost had a fatality or serious injury. And of course, in 2024, November, there was a death from that in the Gulf. That was one of the first ones in a long time for the Gulf. So I encourage everybody to actually look at the data and look at those statistics in there in terms of what is actually safe and what is not. And also to Andy's point about where we're doing the operations too is so important, which they added into the personal transfer section now, because so many of them said, oh, we're doing it here. No, we do it offshore, 50, 60, 100 miles offshore. A pilot ladder is not the safest way to transfer somebody.
Yeah, I think that previously too much of this issue revolved around liability rather than safety. That's how it feels from my side of things. And I'm very happy with the revisions. And I can tell you now, I would take a basket 100% of the time over a pilot ladder. You know, and I think the statistics back that up. But I'm talking about practically here. Going up on a basket is so much safer. We have so much more control. We can do the test runs, and stepping onto a pilot ladder is the only way to test it. And there's no guarantees that that crew has paid attention, has been properly trained. The pilot ladder itself has been inspected. So for me, it's a no-brainer.
I totally agree with Captain. I've done many pilot transfers on a ladder. And when you're my size and weight, and you've got a 4-foot Filipino guy behind you holding on, it's a very, very scary thing. And all of our operations now, we will not transfer by ladder or by basket. Everything by basket.
I would like to tell you that I agree totally with David. I'm totally in favor that that the PTB has received the proper attention. And I would like to add further that it is our recommendation that ship owners should ensure that all the crews are familiar with the operations, the crane driver, the signaler, so they have received the proper training, so that you are more confident that the one who is picking you up and has a knowledge of what he's doing. Because we believe that when PNI clubs went online saying that only certified cranes should be utilized, that's when it started going through liability. Yeah, it's on PNI clubs' websites that only certified cranes should be utilized, not necessarily yours, other PNI clubs. And yeah, David, you know better than me. And we support these initiatives, and in addition, we want them to be strengthened with more confidence to the crew, which requires proper training and certification. And furthermore, you had an incident in PTB in a basket. We know that, and that was very.
I would say first that was not AT. So
it was not AT. It was not AT. We are familiar.
In the industry.
It was. There was an incident about a loss with a pilot in a pilot ladder, and that was very unforeseen. But we have seen incidents, accidents, and actually very fatal accidents with the use of portable chokes. So we haven't seen initiatives there. And although there are approved by class portable chokes, these were not very strongly supported by the industry in the new guidelines. And we still know that some of the portable chokes out there are still very dangerous on that.
One point I'd like to make with the new with the second edition document, it's great to see a chapter now on fatigue.
Great.
Because how many times, and I think most of us around the room, we've just travelled halfway around the world, and then you're on board, and then we have to go to work within 2 or 3 hours of getting on board. I think we should have stopped that years ago, and I'm really pleased to see that in there, because I can now put that into our risk assessment and evaluate fatigue, which we do already. There are maybe people around the world that don't do that. Guys are flying 24 hours, jet lag, and we're sticking them straight into operation. We should not be doing that. And I'm really pleased to see that, actually, to have that in there in 2.8.